the practitioner in the process of practice first have to achieve the lightness of mind. Here they have used the word, the kyung here. Well, when we are very tired or when we are full of agony, we say our head is very heavy, or we also lift our head, or we also wrap a cloth around our head. And when we have headache, we also lie down tying our head. Our head feels very heavy. The reason why we use the term kyung here is to say our head and also our body is light. Our body is not light because of some exercise, but our agony, the thing that gives us difficult time, has reduced. Even the car engine, when it goes up the steep, then engines also get hot. Just like that, when human beings, we have a lot of greediness. Generally, they have very complex head. When we say the person has a lot of complexes in the head, it means the person has a lot of agony. That's because the person is trying to use their brain in order to make things easy. And if you're not able to get rid of the habit, then you will have more difficulty. So all practitioners should start to practice in reducing the greediness. Then only the body and also mind will feel relaxed. Well, if you just think about it in a light manner, then our society, the organization, the form, it is not. You might ask, it's not in the proper state to reduce the greed. Well, we are trying to become happy, and so we became greedy. And if we actually act greedy, then we are in a more difficult and more miserable state. And when Buddha spoke, when you're thirsty, it seemed like drinking seawater when you're thirsty. The more seawater you drink, the stronger your quench for thirst would become, the more thirsty you become. And if you look at it in a society, in our capitalist world, the unlimited greediness, and also the countries that desire for greediness, generally the happiness the people experience, are they strong? Well, the stronger that the country has desire for, the country is more miserable, or there's more serious crimes, and also the human relations break up. Well, in a capitalist society, you might think, capitalism, it's a form. This type of economics is a form that they thought the capital is the essence of the society, and if you think that it's just like European thought for the society, but if you think the society comes first and the capital, then you also have a lot of corporates or even the labor union. Those people who actually talk about this union, the rightist. Well, if we talk about in a Korean manner, in a Korean type, those people who talk about the society or the labor, I wonder why they don't call them very socialist or communist. Well, whatever it is, when you are expecting the greediness or desire, you feel that they will help in your happiness, but they don't actually help you in reality. Just when you drink the sea water, just at that short period of time, the sense that you're actually drinking, it only makes you happy for a very short time, but not even following 1 or 2 minutes, you feel more thirsty. And that is the desire for the materialistic, and also the desire. But and also in order to desire for those from your heart, you have so much conflicts, not only inside your heart, but even externally. You have so much conflicts, and you also have low self-esteem, because you also have to argue in a moral manner, and you also not have good self-pride, and you might also have to gamble, or you might have to drink in order to get better self-esteem, but you're actually cutting down your confidence. And if you do that, then you will have a lot of difficulties and complexes in your mind, and also in your heart. And also with your objects, external objects, you have so much conflicts, and with so many people you have conflicts. And the way that we live in that manner is most of are the general method how people survive. Well, for a human to survive, no matter how good is the facility, or how good is the clothes, or how good food you eat, you never feel light. So the happiness, you will not be able to feel the extreme happiness or unsurpassed happiness. Well, even when we talk about them, while living in this world, you might still think, well, what better car should I buy, and what better house or bigger house should I move to? What should I buy, and how much will be in my pocket? Most of you will have those kind of thoughts. Well, but it's inevitable for me to tell you. So although it is very difficult situation, if you come to a certain point of time, even in an individual manner, or even in the national way, or whatever it is, there should be some thought. There should be some thought that you should not start living in this life, or in this manner. It already started in America, and even in Europe it started off. Well, only if you desire for material or money, then you cannot achieve anything. So even if you wanted to be abundant in supplies or capital, well, in Europe, in olden times, there is no culture, there is nothing. But about 200 years back, they started off with the imperialism, and they had an emperor, and they started building colonies, and also by suppressing the colonists in order to get their happiness. Well, that's because they were poor, and so they killed so many people and made so much slaves, and they had war, and they killed so much people. And while doing that, they have acquired the wealth that they have nowadays. But the wealth that they have acquired and the knowledge that they have acquired has not given them happiness. That's already known by the elites of those society. Most of them in the elite society, they feel it. But for us, we are actually going to that direction. But for them, they have already realized that, well, I guess it was not it. Well, after they have done it, they realize that that's not the road to their happiness. So they have a lot of regrets, and even they also have a lot of doubts for their existentialism, and the things that they do nowadays. For what are they doing this? They have this kind of vague feeling. Before, they wanted to run away from the exploitation of the God, because they believed that the God had all the power, absolute power. And under the name of God, no matter what kind of corruption or any bad things, well, even if you kill thousands of people under the name of God, if it's under the name of God, they would not even call it a murder. There's not even a point talking about it. But us, when we say we actually practice true Samantha, well, if you have if you have received those precepts, then you have to have the desire to respect it and continue it. And if you feel that you are going through a difficult time, do not think that you want to go to a fortune telling house. But if you have those kind of thoughts, if you ask if the agony can disappear, it can never disappear. Those things, if you do, in reality, you will not become happy or you will not relax. And that's why it's very important to have the proper perception and my wrong things and my own mistakes. Do not close your eyes at them, but you have to have a very clear mind and look at them straight and try to fix it. For example, someone who drinks, if you do not quit drinking, no matter how many years you spend in order to go look for fortune tellers or how much you pray to God, you cannot actually get away from the alcoholism. This is a fact that's very true. The human relations, the love relations, we make that and we receive its own consequences. And so you need to have a proper insight of yourself. And how is that insight formed? While listening to Buddha, you will have the proper perception and you will be able to identify which is wrong and which is right. And after that, you will also need to have attempts to try to fix it. Without that, there are no ways. No matter whatever you do, there is no way you can fix it. And that's why a practitioner at the process, in the process of the, in order to get samatha, it is very important to have the sense of the bliss. How much mantra you need to be in the status or state of the bliss? It's almost like when you're going up the hill. When you're going up the hill, you have to push the accelerator, and this time when you recite the mantra, when you first started at the stage of the bodhisattva, until you reach the seventh state, you have to keep trying. If you don't try, then it will keep run away and it is not to be seen. And you have the sense of distraction and also agony, and you also feel sleepy, and whatever excuse you could make, you will also be standing in many different lines. Maybe you feel that this mantra works for you and that mantra is better at some point of time, and you could also think if that's steady, and so you could just move from many different bodhisattvas. And you also might feel that this is nothing, and so you hold the another key phrase in your head, and while going through all that distractions, you will lose your way. And but instead you should actually try to do it just like you're digging a well. Well, it's difficult. Of course, it's challenging for you to go up the hill, but when you're in the bliss, then it's almost like instead of climbing up the hill, it's like you're going down the hills. And so even if you don't try hard, you'll be reciting mantra. So even when we are making food now, you should recite Avalokitesvara. It comes to you automatically. Well, you actually, it's almost like you actually have to put a brake to stop it. Just like that. When it happens to you automatically, only if you think that you want to stop it, it doesn't stop. it comes to you automatically. Until that point, you have to keep trying. You have to keep trying to go up the hill, and until you go down the valley, you have to keep trying. If you don't keep trying, and while trying it, or if you don't follow the Buddhist doctrine, or if you are very distracted, and if you live a very harsh life, then you won't be able to go up to that level. And in the way, on your way, you will lose your way because of the distraction. And so you have to keep trying until you are in the final stage, or you are in the desired place. If you are able to achieve that bliss state, then it becomes a little easier for you. Normally, when you normally converse with people who are near you, even when you're having a normal daily conversation, like your hair palm is good today, but normally people who does not practice, they keep saying things which are not necessary. They keep saying things which are not necessary. After eating that expensive food, they talk about something that's so useless. What's the use of having a good hair palm? Especially women, they talk about my child, and my child wore yellow color today, and it was very good to catch him because he could be seen very easily. Do not talk about something that's so useless. It doesn't help you at all, and that's only your self compliments, and that's just compliments that you want to make out of your own self-confidence and your desire. But when someone with a little more relaxed mind or a little practice, if they say it looks meaningless, and even your close ones are saying those around you, those people who are in the state of the bliss, when they hear it, they just answer yes. But in their mind, they'll be actually reciting the Avalokitesvara. But those people who have not actually practiced, they just follow, and they are moved by it, and they're encouraged by the statements, and all the things just falling out of their mind, and they don't even know where their heart resides in the end. And after a meal, if you go after a big chat, you feel that, oh, my stomach is full, and you go to sleep. Those people who are near you, even if they talk about useless things, those people who has the power to practice, they do not even follow them, but for them it just becomes something meaningless, and whatever you try to talk to them, for them it has no meaning. And it should happen so. Now what happens at that stage, when you talk about the laws, when you talk about the mantras, it doesn't act as an obstacle. Well, it doesn't. When you talk about the sutras, you're talking about many different conditions that helps you with the concentration, so it actually helps. But if you have not been passed properly, then even while listening to the sutra, you do so many different things which are not supposed to be. So when you're actually listening, you should actually concentrate and just listen and not recite the mantra. When you listen, the calm, relaxed mind, actually they just like the wheel of a clock. They fit in together, and you know, yes, that's where they click. And so you need to try hard to have the undisturbed mind. It is not easy to achieve because you do not do it, because you still have a lot of distraction. For example, if you drink, then it takes more than a week for you to get back to your normal life. That's why we are asking you not to drink. So those young people, when I talk to them about this, they just tell me, "Oh, what's wrong with one glass?" But that's only for those who say who doesn't practice. Even themselves, they don't even know how to live, and they are just full of greediness. Everyone in the world drinks, but when everyone in the world is dying, why do you try not to die? When everyone is dying. It's not the conversation of those levels. So practitioner feels the state of undisturbed mind, the lightness of head and body, and how do you feel lightness of body and mind. But we talked about the wisdom before, and based on that, the samatha is formed, and although the agony has not yet cut down completely, but you still have to. Well, once again, whether it is a meditation or key phrase, or the stronger the concentration power is, at the time when you are automatically able to concentrate, then at the time you feel the tranquility. So many different thoughts that cause you different headaches. They are just like springtime, the light, and they have no use, and they don't give you any happiness, and there's no use of them. What is the how can they help you when they just add on to your worry? Undisturbed mind refers to the sense when your head and body becomes light. When you have headache, and also when your body is also in a difficult state, they disappear if you're at undisturbed mind. But the thing is, this doesn't happen because human beings are really bad beings. Because they're so bad people. Why is that so? When we tell them this, they just leave their greatness deep inside their heart, and they still try to achieve this. So they want to do two of them together. Once I told the other person, even you. See, it's not possible to do both of them. When you try to go to east, you cannot go to west. And when I asked him what is that, he didn't know. In olden time, there's a tale about where there's a well, in olden time, when they punished the cow or human being, tying two legs and two hands and also head with a separate rope, and they try to go to their own directions, and the whole body gets torn away. So if we go to east, then even the mind and even the body goes to east. Having the desire deep within, you still want the undisturbed mind. That's a cheater. That's a great cheater. With your greediness, you just live in your mind. Well, look at this. When you pray, whenever in a day I prostrate 3,000 times, and I recite Avalokiteshvara 10,000 times. And when I ask you with what purpose, you say, "Oh, that's for your child to pass the test." Then if the child doesn't pass, well, when you prostrate 3,000 times, you're actually concentrating, so you feel that something is actually happening. But if your child fails, then you will get angry and you forget all about it. You heard the story about the Udak? He practiced the Sabata so hard, and all his life he never cut his hair. For a week he was in samadhi, and when he awakened, the rats ate his hair, and Udrak was so angry, and he carried a stick to catch the rat, but the rat ran away to a hole. And so Udrak was so angry that he burned the whole house. Well, when the house is in flame, where the rat stays still, the rat of course runs away. Then you should not get angry, or you should not actually practice.
그러니까 이게 사마타행을 한다고 그러더라도 욕심이 붙어 있는데
So even when you're doing samatha, when you have greediness,
이게 욕심이 안 부려지거나 내 욕심에 맞지 않는 일이 진행되거나 안 그러면 욕심을 부렸던
if you have greediness, either you stop being greedy, or the object of your greediness should disappear, or if something happens, then everything that you have done so far, just like a fish that's caught on by fishermen, you just are swept away. You are just being led away, and that is something that's not okay. But instead you just sit and you just have the self-satisfaction. Well, I go to monastery and I listen to Venerable Jinok's teaching, and I believe my greediness has disappeared a little, but that is not true at all. That's saying that's not true. That's because you don't know what is greediness.
선생님 저는 욕심이 별로 없습니다. 그래 네 아들 출가 좀 시켜.
Whenever Jinok, I don't have so much greediness, and when I ask you to make your child a monk, you get angry.
욕심을 없애려고 들이다 보니까 너무 덩어리가 커서 조금씩 갉아 먹습니다. 그러면 내가 좀 이해가.
When you look inside your greediness, if you say your greediness is so huge that it's eating you a little by little, well, they are actually easy to erase. But if it comes back to your life and your body, then it becomes very difficult.
그래 뭐 옛날 좀 날고 기던 사람들도 죽인다 그러면 살려주죠.
So even those people who are very famous, if we threaten to kill them, they say, please let me leave.
중동에 가서 그막 살려주시오.
You remember the person Kim Son-il? He asked people to save his life. Well, he believed in God with all his heart, and if he is being thrown away, then in front of people who tried to kill him, he should have said, I'm going to die believing in God. But if he asked for his life to be saved, then you can also question what did he believe in. Well, although he claims that he believed in the God, he didn't actually believe in God, but he only believed on himself.
이것은 사실 마음에 얼룩이 벗겨지는 것입니다. 비유를 했네.
This is actually the stain of your heart being removed. These are the stains of greediness. Since they are taken off, you have a little more comfortable surface. But when you actually do the laundry, sometimes you happen to dye the clothes and then you try to put some more detergent and try to boil it and try to take the color away. It's almost like that. The stain in your heart, on your heart, they start getting away. Only if that happens, even the face, although you're ugly, it's got nothing to do with ugliness, but it will show your actual face. It doesn't matter if your nose is high, or if you have a short nose, or if your eyes are slanted or round. It doesn't really matter.
해도 그 기초 화장 안 해도 아무 상관없고.
Even if you're not wearing the foundation, it doesn't matter too. And even if you don't dye your hair, it doesn't
티베트
matter.
사람들 이게 그 사람들 보면
And when you see other person's face, well, when you see Tibetans, because they do practice their asceticism well, well, I doubt if they shower like twice a year or less. And even their hair, they have put butter and they have combed their hair. And I think the lice will even slip off when they try to walk on their hair.
이가 스키를 깔는데 미끄러져서 그냥 낙상을 해서 저만큼 떨어져 나갈 정도로 버터를 쫙 발라가지고 그렇게 해야 돼. 그뭐
Their hair are so greasy, so that even the light will fall off. And even if they do that,
모습들이 제 본바탕이 나와.
because they still believe in Buddha and still believe in their practice, you can see their face, the actual face. We have to wash and we have to wear makeup and we also have to dye and we apply some creams. We draw, we put on something.
이걸 해도 본바탕이 안 나오잖아. 그러면 넣을수록 가면이 돼 버리잖아.
And even when we do that, the more we do, it looks more like a mask.
그러니까 정진을 열심히 열심히 하는 수밖에 없어.
So you do have to study hard. There's no other way. There's no method. There's nothing that can be done. You just have to keep doing it
공부를 열심히 하다가
with all your strength.
우산도 없이 갔다 오는데 비가 좀 졸라니 혼자서 한참
Before, since one teacher was coming and it was raining so hard, and he was reciting mantra, but the other person who walked past by, he thought he was crazy because the person did not even have umbrella. You don't have to care about what other people say. You might feel embarrassed at what other people think of you. And so when others see you, you recite Avalokitesvara. Well, you don't recite, but when people are not there, you start reciting. But there's no point in doing that. So that doesn't mean you have to go in front of someone else and recite loudly. So even if others see it or not, you just have to ignore it and keep reciting your mantra. But Tibetans, look at them, whether they don't care who they are with, they continuously recite Om Mani Padme Hum, and they don't really care what other people say or what other people think of them. They are not going to die on your behalf, and when you're suffering, they're not going to help you. And when your sufferings are rising, the only thing that you can do is to help yourself. The suffering that originates there within even your family, even your ancestors, no one can help you. And even the God cannot help you with this. Even Buddha cannot do anything about it. So it's only you who can do it. After attaining the undisturbed mind, you have to attain the undisturbed body. Well, if you have a bowl that's full of water, then if you just leave it, then even the water inside will become comfortable. And just like that, since the body and the mind are not two separate entities, they are actually they belong to one. So you can see both parties being comfortable. This is the opposite state with that of the body that's not proper. Well, here the improper body refers to the body which you drank too much or which you have not led proper life, and so your body's energies are blocked. And by doing this, if you will have the blessedness of your body, and also from there you have the happiness of your mind. So here, while you age, while you grow older, it doesn't matter. The disease that comes to you naturally with age, we are not referring to them. Well, even Buddha, when he was about to die, because of his age, he was having back pain. when he was walking down the Krishna way on because it was difficult for him to keep walking, he also lie down for some time to proceed with his walk.
몸의 경험과 마음의 경험을 성취하고 나서 그 자체에 안주하여 마음이
After attaining the happiness of body and mind, after attaining them, you have to cut down the distraction of mind, and at this state, the samatha we have attained is like eternity, and so based on this, you have to look at the God. So after attaining the undisturbed mind, you have to be content with it, and then you have to calm down and relax the disturbedness of your mind. Well, here, although it is said so, if you have undisturbed mind, well, the distractions, most of them, they disappear. And while they disappear, if they last longer, if you pass the 8th stage, then just like you're coming down the slope without a brake, well, if you don't put on the brake, you roll faster. Just like that, your concentration power will get deepened. And when it deepens, after passing the 9th state, you will have the samatha, and at the state, completely with one thought, you have no other thoughts, and you will enter into samadhi. And since you don't have any other thoughts, your only wish or your only thought is one. And since there's no slumber and there's no distraction, we call that the first stage of dhyana amongst the 4 dhyanas. And only if you enter into the first stage of dhyana, well, even this, you have to know very well that if you don't follow the Buddhist shrine, and if you drink even a little, well, finally, if you go a little deep, and if you still have the habit of drinking, then by entering deeply, and if you have the opportunity to drink, and if you drink without unconsciously, you don't get drunk. And so you feel that you have gained control of alcohol, and since you have fallen to the lie, you're actually fallen to the obstacles, and because of your alcohol you will die. And so before that, you have to follow the Buddhist doctrines, and by having the proper perception, and that time you have to follow your teacher, and you have to enter accurately. Most of them, when they are at the state, they're struggling with karma, and they assume that that's the way. Well, there are a lot of people like that in Korean Buddhism, and so in the end, they often make a big mistake. So you have to relax down your mind, and if you relax your mind, and it's good if you can enter into the first stage of dhyana, but if you can't, then at the state of undisturbed mind, you have to look and observe the content or the object of your concentration, and you can actually practice the vipassana. And you can understand that this is absence of I, and also the voidness, and everything changes. Everything comes through the relation, and with the relation, and goes with the relation. Whatever object or whatever subject you are looking at, it happens the same. The same theory applies, and so for nothing you will have the attachment. You should not have attachment for anything, and your greediness should not reside anywhere. And if you do that, then you will not have confusion over things. And also, even you also know that your age and you will die one day. If you observe this, then there's something that's very easy to find out. But because we have attachments and we have attachments to it, and we feel that it is me, so you don't want to die, and that's where the problem starts. If a sattva stays in the place, at the state of place, and if you remain there, then the distortion of mind cuts down. After that, the phenomenon that you took as the part of your concentration, the object of your concentration, take the phenomenon as the object of your thought and study deeply. And also, with the true picture that is the object of your samatha, take it as your thought of your understanding and analyze its essence. Take it completely and understand and examine. Practice patience and also take the object happily. Understand properly and analyze accurately and understand them. And we call this vipassana. I emphasize this a lot, and in order to have vipassana, then you need to have samatha. It's just like cleaning the side of the mirror. And if the surface of the mirror is not very flat or it's not clear, then you cannot identify what's being reflected. But before that, you require the proper perception. Without the proper perception, then even when you practice the vipassana, you somewhat fall into the wrong path. And a lot of people commit mistakes from this part. They believe that if the samatha is done, then everything is possible. But Buddha has repeatedly stated that it is also wrong. And also Buddha's disciples have said the same. In this way, the bodhisattva becomes very expert in vipassana. Only if you do that, or only if you do this, then whoever you meet, which partner ever you meet, then there is no point for you to have attachment for. Your greediness will stop. If the greediness stops, then in the end, the greediness for you to live for long also stops, and that is also a part of your greed. Even the greed to live long time, it stops, and since it stops, you no longer feel that living for a long time is happiness, and also you do not think that living for a short period of time is happiness. You just come with the relations and go with the relation, and you will accept that as a natural process. It is important to have optimistic motivation. A practitioner in the practice, you need to have the proper posture in an optimistic way. For the benefit of all sentient beings, just like so vast like a surface, I will try to have the ultimate enlightenment, and for this I will. You should also think that for this I will listen to the holy Kamalishila's teachings. So the things that you have to deny absolutely, and those which are correct, there is a need for you to accept them 100%. So in the process, you should not, if you think there's something for me, for a mere person like me, this will not happen. If you think that way, then that's also very pessimistic. So it is improper. Well, the human being's external appearance doesn't really matter. It's a matter of the person's in nature. If you have the proper idea or proper belief, and how much how much desire you have to go to the final path, and how strong is your willingness to get rid of the useless arguments and agony. Everything depends on this, but there's nothing like it happens. It's possible for some and it's not possible for the other. And after that, what happens is It is not so that the person studied a lot, so it happens for that person, but not. But study does not happen to those people because they study for a long time or even for a short period of time. But this is a kind of building a habit. For example,
술을 10년을 끊었네.
if someone says the person stopped drinking for 10 years, what does it mean?
먹고 끊고 그랬단 말이야.
That means the person drank and stopped and drank and stopped.
먹고 그랬든지.
Or stopped and drank and stopped or and drank. That means the person has done that for 10 years. But if someone says, I'm not going to drink, and if the person has stopped drinking at all, well, saying that I have stopped drinking for 10 years or I have stopped drinking in an year, well, although it's saying that they have stopped drinking, the time period matters a lot. So even the study, a practitioner, so we said for the practitioner, do not ask them questions which happened before they enter this door. Whatever they did before, do not ask them the question. And that's why those who doesn't study, they talk about if my house back in the lake wall is good, or if I left the gold there, or this happened, that happens. But what are you going to do with the house that's rich? For someone who practices the law, you don't even ask them about yesterday. They only ask their deeds that are happening right now. They only ask what's going on now. They do not ask questions about before, about history. If you are following in past and if you talk about past, that's on your own. But we just check if you are studying hard enough nowadays. We don't even care if you are Miss Korea before. So you have to believe that one day you will be able to achieve it. And you need to have this optimistic thought, and also the saints who practice. Well, even Buddha had two eyes, or he was also a human. And I'm also human. Why would I not be able to do? You need to have this kind of optimistic thought. You should not think that I was born in a village and I'm a lady and I'm poor. What will I be able to do? You should not think those things. If you should not be satisfied with the thought that you're just going to offer to Buddha and pray for virtue. That is so petty. With the gold, you have just made a plow and you're using the gold as a plow. Well, if you plow the farm with the plow made of gold, then if you just do it, then the whole gold will go away, will disappear. So when you do something, you should always have an optimistic thought and practice it. But that doesn't mean you should misunderstand. If you think of it like Yu Byung-won, then you will die. If you think that you have been redempted, or if you have already attained the sight of God, then you are going to die. It's very important to understand why you got the body of human that is rare and also precious. Based on the human body, we can achieve the instant or ultimate goal. Being born as a human, free human, it is a very good opportunity. You have to try your best to use this opportunity. Well, I have not done the population check, so I cannot say how many people are there in heaven or in hell. But amongst the among the six parameters or the six different realms, I believe that there are many different beings there, and I also heard that there are about 7 billion people. And also, when you see the animals, they have about 600,000 species. Since they were not able to identify the population, well, I heard that in China, after checking the population, when they look back, they were about again like um, a lot of people being born. And in India, there were so many people who did not even have the birth certificate, like untouchables, so you cannot even find out how many people are there. So they just assume that there are about 1.3 million people, or so they just make assumption of the numbers of population. But only the animals, they have about 600,000 species. But like a mountain gorilla, there are only about 300 to 400 left. And also the the white whale in Amazon River, there is only about 100 of them. And also the one monkey, it's only a few left. But still, when you count ants, there are also a lot. So even only the animals, you cannot even say how many are there, but we just say the number is unmeasurable. But it's as many as the sands in the river Ganges. And in hell, well, I go today and I make a phone call, and I'll make a count of how many are there on the body spread, and how many people are, and also in the world of the hungry ghosts or spirits, or how many are there in the heaven, or how many there are in the evil ways. Or I'm going to check. And but among so many, if you go to heaven, then the time is too long. But for them, it's just an instant. But from us, if you look at them and if you want to go and come back here, then for their one day is just like our life, our whole life. It's too long there. So if you want to come back here after visiting, it's very complicated. Even places like hell, well, the moment we have a thought, they repeat death and being born, like in an instant they're being born, and they die about 10,000 times. Well, I maybe if you just put them in the hell, since they are immune, they might build the immunity to the hell, so they repeat death and birth again and again. So look, what is it like? Normally when we do it like bad thought and good thought, bad thought, good thought again, it becomes like a hell. It becomes on hell. So do not do that. So after you you have gone there and you come back, and even if you want to live like a human, you don't know when that opportunity is going to come to you. So it's also very difficult. So being born as a human, where I think the number of population for human is low, is a lower, is the least, and I think the number of human human could be the least. Well, oh, I don't think I have even included the fishery in when counting. We have also a lot of number of fishes.
사람이라는 것이 육도윤회
So,
헐떡
what do we think? Normally, a human,
윤회를 이렇게 하는 가운데서 사람이라는 것은
even when we go through the six realms, for them, what is it like? Human beings like death.
49일 동안 바로도 상태가 되잖아요, 그죠? 그 상태가
So even when we die,
인간 수라
until we are reborn as a human,
할때이
then after 45 days, we go through
깨칠 수 있는 가능성이 있지 딴 때는 없다고 말해요.
a transformation. So we only have the opportunity to be born as a human, but or else you don't have them.
그럼 내가 누구 가르친 거 얘기해? 이거 구사론에 다 있어.
This is teaching of Buddha.
선생님 가르친 거요. 그 지독쌤이
But all the things that I'm teaching right now is taught by Buddha. I'm just explaining.
설명하는 거야. 지금까지 얘기한 게 내 얘기는 없어요. 나는 그냥
Among the things that I have said, there is no saying of mine.
설명하는 거지.
Well, I'm just explaining to you so that you could understand. If I explain to you about my story, it will become, religion. But there is nothing like that.
바로도 상태 그러니까 우리가 이제 사람이 죽어서
So the state of Bardo, after a human's death, when after 49 days, during that stage,
말을 알아듣기 쉬우냐면 이게
why is it easy to understand human words at this time? Is because
나라는 것들이 확 허물어져 버릴 때 아니요. 바로도 상태일 때는 내 몸
it's a time when the thoughts that I started disappearing. Even the body starts rotting or being burned, and everything that's mine has left me. And so, if I do the teaching,
그 바로 상태에 느끼고 있는 그대로를 얘기하니까 그대 지금
well, since during the teaching,
꿈과 같은 것이
the things that they feel in the state of bardo, they feel it. Well, isn't the life after that? It's very void, and there's nothing really there. And for you, if I tell you that life is like a dream, you might say yes, it is. But for you, it's not a dream. If you pinch yourself, then you feel how it hurts. So, but verbally, you accept it because we have a form, body form, and even the money, no matter how much we tell you that money is nothing, but you still get angry if you lose money when you in the stock market.
그런 게 있는데 바로도 상태
So there are things that's not possible, but at the stage of bardo, if you are in the stage of bardo, then if I do the teaching, during the teaching, because you are just able to accept it, because everything is how you feel right now. The things that you were so attached to your husband goes to bathroom and smiling or crying, you know it.
험한 것이 없구나.
There is nothing more futile than this.
화장실에 가지도 않고
Nowadays, doesn't he go to the bathroom?
올리면서 웃음을 참지
He raises incense, but he cannot hold back his smile, and the ashes fall down. Well, someone told me this story.
그대가 그렇게 좋아하던 돈 빌려주고 했던 친구가 이제
Your friend that you like so much that you lent money, your friend feels so good that she doesn't have to pay back because you're dead. That's so futile. The things that you have done is so futile. If I do this teaching, then really by coming to the funeral, if they say, oh, you have already paid back, then you also feel that that's also void.
내가 그렇게 애지중지했던 저 아들놈의 자식이 전에 엄마
The son, my son who was so precious, after my dad, he puts me in the fridge, in the freezer, and he talks about his He talks about going for a trip with his wife.
이러다
That's also very futile.
저렇게 나한테 잘하던 저 딸내미 전현이
The daughter who was so good to me,
내가 죽고 보니까 통장 챙길라 그랬구나.
after my death, she was only after my savings book. There's nothing more futile than this. So if I give you a teaching about how futile the life is, even if I start off with one sentence, then at the state of Bardo, in the state of Bardo, they just accept it. They just realize that it is, and you feel that I've been fooled by them so far, and the life I tried to live. But even the enemy or even the close ones, they are never there. They were never there from the beginning. The close ones, I thought they were the enemies who came to get payback, and
애정이 깊은 내 자식 저놈의 새끼 딱 죽어서
and my children who I had so much attachment for, they're just like people who came to get paid, and
아주 아들한테 다
and how much debt you owe them in your previous life, you cannot even tell them anything even after you give them everything. Especially the beings called mother, they're not able to say anything at all to them.
보니까 친하다고
And when you see
원수가 왔었구나.
those beings that you thought you were your close ones, they are actually your enemies.
영감쟁이가
The husband,
자기는 사랑하는 줄 알았는데 저게 빚받으러 와가지고
you thought he loves you, but he came to get payback, and so he made you cook for 40 years.
저게 빚을 다 갚기 전에는 죽지도 않고
Before you pay back everything, you don't even die.
세 끼씩 내놓으라고.
And after retirement, he's asking for 3 meals a day.
바로도 상태에서는 이제 그게 보여.
In the stage of Bardo, you can see them. You can see those. That's why
사실 몸뚱아리 갖고서 욕심 갖고서 듣는 때보다 강제로 이게 내가 했던 게
listening to teaching in Bardo is way more effective than listening to teaching while you have the body form. The whole of your life, if you just listen to a single sentence, you feel like it's a lightning that's striking you. Well, one grandmother,
얼굴 보라 그랬더니
when she was reciting mantra, I asked her to look at the face for the last time, and she said, "Grandfather, my husband, take all the disease of our children and take them all."
저게
I thought the husband could be so angry and wake up that he feels bad that she doesn't even feel sad that I was so sick and I died. Well,
얼마나 웃었는지
it was so funny, like I couldn't hold myself inside, so I told the husband, "Do not be angry." I said that in my heart.
이러지 마시오. 원래 사람이란 게 그렇소.
Human beings are like this actually, by nature.
아이 그 양반이 할머니 아주 얼마나 그걸 구성지게 얘기하는지.
Where she was saying it in such an organized manner.
우리 사람들이 굉장히 고저장단이 좋거든요. 말씀하시면 뭐라 그러냐면 이 근갱이 이 그렇단께 아 하지 마소 이.
They speak in such a rhythmic manner, and people of Korea, they speak, they are very good at it. And she was talking as if she's singing. Even the rhythm was correct.
박자도 딱 맞아. 영감
Husband,
아들 병 갖고 가서 이 딱 맞아.
take our son's disease.
예, 바로도 상태에서는 그래서 49제를 갖다 집중해서
In the stage of bardo, that's why we ask you to do the 49th day with concentration. But being after that and being reborn,
인간 세상에
while you go
태어나서
through the
내가
6
육도중에 나오는
realms,
것은 그게 바로도야. 그래서 이
well,
인간 세상에
amongst if in this going through the 6 stages of realm, being born as a human is a state of bardo. I feel sorry for you at times because if the grandmother or grand person comes to the monastery, well, they don't even come nowadays, the sons or daughters. So after the death of the grandmother, they cannot even come and recite mantra because they don't know anything about it. And sometimes I hate this very much.
사실 그 다음 생으로 이게 그 나아가는데 엄청 장애가 돼요. 지 혼자만
Where it becomes a very big obstacle to go to the next life.
죽을 때 어떤 사람은 나 49제 지내주소니 그러고 얘기하고 석천사 진옥 스님한테 지내주라고 얘기한 사람도 있대.
I heard that there were some people who asked for the 49th day prayer, and especially mentioned that it's to be done by Jinok, Venerable Jinok in such a monastery. But when they come here, like the sons or the anyone, the family, they don't know anything, and they sit in a foolish manner, and they just sit there, and that person.
상황 자체가 박복한 거야.
That means the person has lived a life in a very without luck. Like you cannot actually do anything for them. And also for some,
이제 또뭐 다른 종교가 하나 있으면 그냥 막 삐딱딱
if they have some different religion, then
도다리는 뭐 강어는 다 해가지고 그냥 이상하면
they look at the ceremony or the prayer in a very bad way. So you cannot really do anything for them.
그래서 사람으로
It was very
태어나는
heartbreaking. So being born as a human,
공부를 할 수 있는 다른 상황에서는 못 해요.
you cannot actually study at different form when you're in different form. How can you do it when you're an animal?
가끔가다 우리 또래한테 법문을 해.
Sometimes I do by teaching to read the dog, and I ask him, "Do you understand?" Well, he doesn't.
반짝이지. 네 알아듣겠냐?
If I give him some ham, his eyes twinkle. Sometimes I tell him that when you're being born next life, do not come in this body form.
네가 그렇게 알아들었으면 내가 햄을 줄 거다. 햄 소리에 막 그거.
And I told him that if you understood, I will give you ham. And with the word ham, his tail starts wanking.
이게 무슨
It goes the same for the other beings too. With the teaching, if they start practicing and if they give up greed, well, they say, "I'm busy, so I'm not able to come to the teaching." But still, the way that they live in this life, they talk about all the dirty things. And if I tell something interesting, they just smile. But when they just smile, how it is it going to benefit them? It doesn't help them. So being born as a human, and also who doesn't study now, you should take it so preciously. And they said, well, I should have taken it preciously before, but I'm already old now. Well, even if you're old, even if your life is, even only a bit of your life is left, is very important. You have to feel it, and if you're in the posture to study, that even 5 years or 10 years, that's also very important.
그렇지 않으면
If not, it's not okay.
공부를 해야 되겠다 하고 이제
Oh, you should think that next life I'm going to start studying from since I was young. And so if you have a great wish like that, then you can start studying since you're a child in your next life.
그래서 사람으로 태어났다는 것을 갖다
So being born as a human,
매우
you have to
참 감사하게 생각.
you have to be grateful. You have to be really grateful. Being born as a human,
여수에 시집 온 걸 좋게 생각하시오.
even you should also think in a positive way that you came to Yasu
뭐 영감은 좀 못생긴 영감
with your marriage. Although you have met an ugly husband,
여 그래도 여기서
But still, you came to Yasu, and since you're able to listen to the teaching
사실은 이게
for some time, well, I started teaching. I've been teaching about 25 to 30 years, but still, even if I talk about this every day, well, once I said, even to the extent that sometimes when I sleep,
강아지가 짖거든.
the dogs bark. When the dogs bark,
안 나가려 그러다가
I try not to go, but
안 나가려 그러다가
I try not to go, but still,
나가보자.
sometimes I go out to check why is the dog barking. Well, even when I'm barking for 30 years, there was just some people who doesn't even look at me.
30일 동안 여수에서 짖었으면
For 30 years, I have been speaking in Yosu, and also I'm very loud. It's not like my voice is very low. I've also spoken online, but each time I spoke, they tried to block their ears and they ask, what am I talking about?
연이 없으면
So if there is no relation,
연전은 다 없어.
it doesn't happen.
공부 안 해.
They don't study.
젊으면 젊었다고 안 하고 늙으면 늙었다고.
They give so many different excuses, like if you're young, you refuse to study. If you're old, you cannot study. And also you cannot study because you have to earn your bread.
죽는 얘기 좀 하고 사는 얘기 좀 하자는데 결국 죽을 뻔해서 그냥 밥 벌어먹고 평생.
But even when you're earning and you'll die eventually. But you're not going to live forever.
그래서 여러분이 사람으로 태어나가지고요.
So being born as a human, since you age, your legs are also uncomfortable and your eyesight also started losing, and but still you have two eyes and you're breathing with your nose and you're walking around with your legs, and if someone talks about you can hear it, and you don't know how grateful and how precious that is, and there's nothing more than that.
그리고 지금 한 시간
And also each hour,
중요하다는 것을 알아야 돼요. 정진 능력은
you should also know that your each hour is very important. We don't have so much time left for us to practice and do our ascetic practice.
얼마 안 돼서 지 옷도 지가 못 입어요.
In not too long hours, I don't think we will be able to wear our own clothes. Even people who used to be so embarrassed or who felt so shy, they cannot wear their clothes on their own, but someone else has to put it on them. There was someone who used to laugh in a very feminine way, and she would always blush and cannot even look at me straightly in a straight manner. After her death, when I went, even the person who is changing her clothes, that she doesn't even know. Well, she wasn't not even shy, but we don't have so much time now. Soon we will also go through the same. There is nothing there for us to trust.
이런저런 핑계 대지 말으니까.
So do not give this and that excuses. The person who does it, same. The person who studies, even the normal study, if you look at the children, if you feel that they are going to do, then the student who studies, then they study even when they are lying down or even they are lying on their back, they still study.
손에 책이 안 떨어져.
Even when they go out, they still have books on their hands. If you do that, then you can still study.
뒤집으시면 자고.
But those who doesn't study, if you lie down, you sleep. If you lie on your back, you sleep. You give so many different excuses not to study.
못할 핑계 대지 말고 뭐 김치 담느라 못하고 뭐 한다고.
So do not give so much excuses of not studying. So do not give excuses like you're making kimchi or you have to do something else.
그 얘기를 하시더라고.
Well, Dalai Lama once said,
8시 9시 되면 주무신다. 9시인가 되면 주무신다. 그래 일찍 주무십니다.
he's going to sleep around 9 or 8. I told him he's sleeping early, and he said in the afternoon he doesn't have time to do his own practice, so he wakes up at 1 o'clock in the morning and he does his own practice until 5 o'clock, and
그렇게 바쁘게 사시면서도 하신다.
he lives his life in that busy manner, but he still carry on with his ascetic practice.
그리고 5시부터 아침밥 공양 드실 6시 반까지는
And from 5 o'clock to 6:30, he eats his breakfast, and
쓰시고
also he does his work of writing. If there is any welcome address request to him, he does it on his own. He doesn't ask someone else to do it for him.
지금 이 사람이 지금 이 몸뚱아리가 가장 중요합니다. 근데 더 중요한
The human body that we have is very important, but what's more important is we are born with this body, and if you are reborn again next life, we should never fall below this. Even when you are born as a human,
그 지혜 이하로
the virtue that we have now, or the wisdom we have now, we should never fall beyond this or below this.
사는 것에 이하로 떨어져 버리면 다음 생에 태어나서
If it falls below how we live now, then it will become worse in our next life. And
공부할 거 이 말법 시대에
the things that we study in this world of wisdom,
여러분 참
you should feel grateful that you are in the place where you are actually studying.
성이 깊어. 공부할 곳이 있고 그래도 와가지고
There is a place that we can study, and also
도 아니고 그래도
it's not 1 or 2 days.
반 정도를 갖다가
And for about 1.5 an hour, you sit and you are listening to the teaching. It's also very difficult to sit and listen. It's also difficult to do it every week.
그래서 나는 방석을 하고 립스틱을 내가 개발할까 싶은 생각이 있어.
So I have a wish to develop a lipstick and also the cushion, so that if you come to our teaching, then you cannot stand up after 2 hours. And also, if you apply lipstick after a meal, lipstick that stays for the whole day.
이렇게 붙이면
If you stick it,
시간 딱 붙어 있다가
it stays for 3 to 4 hours, and it just has to fall off when you're eating a meal.
내가 그 이름까지 지어놨어. 묵은 립스틱.
I have also given it name, the lipstick that's eaten.
그래서 오전에는 묵은 립스틱을 칠하고
So in the morning, you apply the lipstick that's eaten, and in the afternoon, without applying that, you just recite mantra. I'd be grateful if you do that.
그러니까 지금 우리가
So
생명받는 이 순간이
the life that we have and the moment that we are living now, do not give different excuses. It's very important, it's very precious. And at this moment, the most important thing is what can you realize this moment. There's nothing more than this. But still, we believe that there is something more special other than this, but there is actually nothing. And the thought that we have, they exist.
하나의 가상 세계일 뿐이야.
It is just an imaginary world where we have actually built.
단 말이야. 제일 소중한 거.
It isn't there. It's most important.
이 몸을 바탕으로 해서 우리는 순간적이거나
Based on this body,
이룰 수 있습니다.
we can attain an instant or ultimate motivation. So you should not have attachment to it, but still,
그러나 이게 살아있는 동안은
if you have attachment to it and thinking it's eternal, then you know that it's going to be futile. But still, you should actually do carry on or proceed. While you are living, you should actually proceed. And also, you should do only good things. While you have this, you should not do bad deeds. You should not make yourself bad deeds.
자유롭고 복받은 인간으로 태어난 이 생은 너무나 좋은 기회입니다. 최선을 다해
Being born as a human that's free and also has merit is a very good opportunity. You have to utilize this opportunity to your best. So you have to spend your day so that tomorrow is better than today, and you should also do your best so that your next life is way better than this life, so that your life upgrades. And there's nothing more than you have to practice and carry on with your own development. Other than this, there's no other way.
깨달음의 궁극적인 목적을 성취하려고
On top of that, in order to achieve the ultimate goal of enlightenment, you have to raise the sense of selflessness, which is its basis.
무조건 보리심도 역시
So the enlightenment, it goes them in the sense of body, bodhisattva, but everything its basis is selflessness. It lies in freeing all sentient beings from their suffering. If there is anything that says it raises from selfishness, that's all a lie. Also, you have to raise your compassion, and while practicing the samatha and vipassana together, it's also very important to accumulate other merits like offering. So the 6 parameters, offering, tolerance, and also those things that belong to 6 parameters, you should also carry on with them. Let's do on to here today and tonight from 7 to 8 in the city hall. The first city hall there will be a second city hall teaching. So and it's quite new. So if you could participate so that teaching is a little more comfortable, I'll be grateful if you can also participate. The text is not yet decided. I'm trying to do it the way to Bodhisattva, but before that, since they are very brand new, I think I have to start off with very basic ones. Well, I think I have to teach them how to pray. So if you could come to the teaching together and participate, if all the people from the Monday and Tuesday teaching could come, it would be great. Let's end today.